Xiangling is a Pyro sub DPS. In this scenario, sub refers to being of field rather than being secondary in terms of damage output. Xiangling deals the majority of the DPS in her team composition, with the exception of Melt Ganyu team, where she is there for Pyro application. Xiangling is considered top tier, but depending on who's making the tier, she might be in the SS tier or in the S tier. I'm in the side of her not being in the highest tier because the reason she performs really well is due to Bennett. With the exception of Suko Command or some fringe unorthodox composition, Xiangling is almost always paired with Bennett. Not pairing Xiangling with Bennett just cripples her by a lot. Why? Because Bennett solves almost every issue Xiangling has. And being able to heal also means the other two slots is very flexible. Even though Xingqiu is almost always the third member of the composition, with the fourth slot being the flex. The current incarnation of national teams, the fourth slot is almost always Raiden Shogun and it's the most efficient. However, you can put many other characters in the slot. Bennett provides attack buff, which Xiangling really needs due to her relatively low base attack. He also batters Xiangling since she has an 80 energy cost burst. The compounding factor here is that Bennett has no issue getting his energy back even if his particles are entirely funneled into Xiangling, due to him naturally being built with ER and having only 60 energy cost of his burst. Xiangling also might use EM or ER sense. Losing attack sense is not a big factor when you have Bennett buff. Xiangling also has terrible E. Guoba has bad range and questionable targeting priority. Even if Guoba can generate fair amount of particles provided that all the attacks hit a target, it is over time and it is harder to funnel them to Xiangling. In short, Xiangling does damage and that's it. Of course, with the exception of Melt Ganyu com. So without Bennett, there is a lot more hurdle for Xiangling to overcome, and this is why I don't consider her to be in the highest tier. As of now, there is no alternative to Xiangling. Thoma is one if we are being extremely generous, but we all know that Thoma is practically dysfunctional. So I think it is safe to say that we will eventually get a 5-star version of Xiangling in the future. However, I think a 5-star version of Xiangling should not deal more damage than her, and Xiangling should stay as the top Pyro sub DPS in the game. Imagine a 5-star Pyro sub DPS with better elemental skill, or is able to battery themselves, or has a better utility in their E and Q and passive, while at the same time having a total output DPS similar to Xiangling or maybe even better. So in this case, what is the incentive of using Xiangling except if she is your waifu? I think if there will be a 5-star Xiangling, there should be avenues where Xiangling performs better. I prefer it this way, where there is many things to consider when choosing a character and it not just based on rarity alone. Some question some people might have is, why should a free unit or low rarity unit be high tier? Why go this far? My answer is, why not? We shouldn't encourage typical gacha practice of making higher rarity units strictly or overwhelmingly better than lower rarity ones. We have enough of those. Let free units be strong.